What's good, everybody? I appreciate you checking in. All right, we all know now Luke Getsy has officially been relieved of his duties. Antonio Pierce pulled the trigger and he's now fired. No longer the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. In addition to that, Rich Scangarello, our quarterbacks coach, he's been relieved of his duties, as well as James Craig, our offensive line coach. He's no longer with the Las Vegas Raiders. And so that news dropped after our embarrassing loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. We got absolutely thrashed 24-41. And in replacing the play calling duties, I believe it's Scott Turner, which is now going to be the play caller for Las Vegas Raiders. And so, let me know in the comment section down below. Are you good with this? Are you good with this move? Are you good with Luke Getsy being fired? Let me know in the comment section down below. And we're gonna kind of break this down because I think there's a lot of panic now amongst the Raider Nation because I think we were well on our way to being in position to get a top pick in next year's draft, right? Where I think a lot of us, and let me know in the comment section if you're not one of them, but I think a lot of us, I think that's kind of the path forward that we need to take. We need to find ourselves in position to get that top quarterback in next year's draft. We just don't have the quarterback of the future on this roster. And so I think that's kind of where a lot of this fan base wanted to go. So we definitely want to break this down. I want to talk about that in just a second. Because again, a lot of the fan base is kind of panicking now that Luke Getsy's gone. And we thought that we were naturally going to find ourselves with a top pick. Now there's panic set in with the Raider fan base on whether or not we're going to find ourselves with the top pick next year. So we'll break that down. But before we do, if you can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. My next giveaway is at 4,000 subscribers. So if you want to be included in that, hit that subscribe button, but also turn on that notification bell so you know when I drop more content and when I go live throughout the week as well. And so, like I just said, right, there's a little bit of panic going through. I think a lot of us thought we were naturally going to find ourselves with a top 5 or a top draft pick in next year's NFL draft. And look, I don't think this moves the needle at all. Let's just take a look at how our offensive personnel looks like when it comes to the players, right? Our offensive line is completely banged up. Antonio Pierce just came off of his presser and said he's never seen a situation like that where 3 offensive linemen go down in one game, right? So we had Colton Miller, he goes down, and then Andres Pete comes in, and then Andres Pete goes down, Cody Whitehair goes down, and we have Thayer Mumford that comes in that now, which was supposed to be our starting right guard, he now is our third string, or I'm sorry, our starting right tackle. He's now our third string offensive tackle, and he looked absolutely horrible yesterday. Ted Hendricks, the edge rusher for Cincinnati Bengals, absolutely tore him up. And so there's so many question marks going into for the remainder of the season with this offensive line. Now, our interior looks fairly strong. JPJ started at the center position, which I think that's the future of the center position for us. Andre James, he was on the injury list, and hopefully he does not see the field at all the rest of the season, and hopefully we move on from him, going into next season or maybe even the trade deadline. We'll see. Well, I'm going to drop another video about the trade deadline, but I think the interior of our offensive line looks fairly strong, and that's definitely something that we can look forward to moving forward into the season and into next season. JPJ at the center position, Jordan Meredith at the guard position. Jordan Meredith was the guy that I was actually a fan of. Going into the season, I was happy that we re-signed him, and I think that he should have started over Cody Whitehair, but he finally got his opportunity last week, and I think he's taken full advantage of that. Then you got Dylan Parham on the other side, which, again, I think could be a solid guard for us moving forward. But, look, our offensive line is a mess right now with all the injuries, especially at the tackle positions. DJ Glaze looks like a promising rookie, but look, he's still a rookie. There's still going to be growing pains with him at the right tackle position. But I think this is also attributed to the fact that we just can't get a running game going. We don't have a running game. The last few weeks the numbers have been just horrible when it comes to the running game. I think Alexander Madsen, the last couple of weeks, he's rushed for under 50 yards the last couple of weeks. Zamir White is just not the running back that we thought he potentially could have been based on what we saw last season. And so complete question marks at the running game, within the running game. And then we saw Desmond Ridder. He came in kind of in the third quarter of yesterday, and we couldn't even protect him. Yes, he had that one good drive toward the tail end of the game, which was good to see, but we couldn't protect him. All of a sudden, he was getting absolutely crushed in the pocket. in yesterday's game. And so we have an offensive line that struggles to run block. We have running backs that can't find success in the running game. We have a quarterback that we can't protect. And let's take a look at the quarterback position itself. We don't have a quarterback that we don't have a starting quarterback. Desmond Ritter, he's not the answer. Gardner Minshew obviously clearly is not the answer. Aiden O'Connell, he may come back maybe a couple weeks after that bye week, once that thumb heals up. There's question marks on whether or not Aiden O'Connell's the guy, and I don't think he is. So I think again we're potentially trying to set ourselves up to get that franchise quarterback in next year's draft, and the only way to do that is if we continue to play like we have, and we naturally find ourselves picking in the top three, in the first round of next year's draft. And a lot of people are in panic mode. Scott Turner now is going to take over the play calling duties, but that's what was reported. Antonio Pierce came in the presser and he said that he still hasn't decided. And so, some beat writers, some insiders are putting out on Twitter that Scott Turner is going to take over the offensive play calling duties. I guess that's not 100% because Antonio Pierce said he's going to take the next 24, 48 hours to finalize that. But let's just say that is the case, that Scott Turner takes it over. He was the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders for a couple seasons. He did not do very good at all, and I don't think he's going to turn this thing around. To be fair, I don't think any offensive coordinator has a chance at turning this thing around with all the injuries and question marks on this offense. It's just not going to happen. The amount of practice squad players that we're elevating that see significant playing time. Ramel Keaton played significant playing time. He's a practice squad receiver that we elevated. Justin Shorter, practice squad tight end that we elevated. We keep dropping guys back down the practice squad and then re-elevating them halfway through the week to be prepared for the game. And then they see significant playing time. There's no offensive coordinator. I don't care if you're Andy Reid. I don't care if you're Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. You're not going to be able to turn this offense into something. And so I'm not in panic mode of losing a top draft pick next season. I just think that if you look at everything that's going on with this offense, there's no chance at anybody turning this thing around with the amount of time that we have left and with the personnel that we have in the building. And so the only thing that I'll add is in order to get wins, I guess the last thing that I'll add, in order to get wins, it has to be a collective effort. It's not just the offense. And this defense is struggling. We just gave up 41 points to the Cincinnati Bengals. That's had a struggling offense. No T. Higgins. They were missing some pieces. We let the Chase Brown, that running back, go for 120 plus yards. I mean, this defense is not the defense we saw now, or that we thought we were going to see at the beginning of the season. Now, mind you, injuries, right? No Christian Wilkins, no Malcolm Kuntz. Divine Diablo was out for quite a while. We've had injuries, no Marcus Epps. We've had injuries to this defense. And so in order for us to win games, it's not just that the offense has to score, but the defense now has to stop somebody. And the defense has proven we haven't been able to stop anybody consistently on a consistent basis. And so, look, I think at the end of the day, we are going to struggle for the remainder of the season. Nobody's going to turn this thing around. We're not all of a sudden going to turn into a competitive football team overnight. Now, will we see some sparks? We might see a spark out of the bye week because, look, we saw that spark against the Giants last year. Bo Hardegree took over, and all of a sudden we put up 30 points on the Giants. But that was short-lived because the following week we put up, I think, 16 points against the Jets. We put up, I think, 14 points against Miami. I think we put up 17 points. There was a spark against the Giants, but after that, we basically went flat. Yeah, we put up 63 against the Chargers. That was more because the Chargers wanted Brandon Staley fired. They weren't playing for him, right? And then at the very last game, we put up some points against a absolutely beat up and depleted Broncos team. And they weren't playing for anything. I think the Broncos were playing for a draft spot, to be honest with you. And so I just don't think, if you look at the makeup of this team right now, with the fan base kind of in panic mode, that we're now going to start winning ball games and we're going to find ourselves out of position. I just don't see that happening. Scott Turner is not going to turn this thing around. The personnel that we have on offense, we're not going to turn this thing around. We don't have a quarterback. We have a banged up offensive line. We have no running game. I just don't see us turning this thing around. So just my thoughts, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below. I appreciate you sticking with me. Remember, on your way out, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. turn that notification bell. My next giveaway is at 4,000 subscribers. So if you want to be included that, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out.